You ever have one of those moments where you're just done? Not angry, not shocked, just bone-deep tired of people who think a clipboard makes them God? Well, that was me, standing in my driveway with my wife, a decorated Navy commander, right after she got back from an 8-month deployment on the USS Theodore Roosevelt. And this woman, this HOA president, was measuring our welcome home sign with a ruler like we just planted a missile silo on the front lawn. Let me back up. My name's Jake. I'm a woodworker, a husband, a dog dad, and a guy who never thought he'd be staring down a suburban power trip disguised as a woman named Margaret Langston. Now, my wife, Commander Alex Reed, had just finished what you might call a tough tour. Nothing Hollywood glamorous, just long nights, missed birthdays, surprise engine fires, and keeping 300 sailors safe while floating in the middle of God knows where. She's the real deal, the kind of leader you don't raise your voice around, even when you think you're right. For 8 months, I counted down the days. Every mark on the fridge calendar felt like a heartbeat. And when she finally came home, man, I just wanted to give her a moment. I carved a sign out of pine, painted it red, white, and blue with the words, "Welcome home, Commander Reed. We missed you." I hung it on our fence like a flag of victory. It was 2 feet tall. HOA rules said the limit was 20 inches. I didn't know that would start a war. Margaret, head of the HOA, gray curls tight, clipboard tighter, saw that sign within 20 minutes. Marched over like she owned the block. Didn't even say hi. Just muttered, 2.4 inches over regulation, like she was reading my Miranda rights. I was standing there, still holding my wife's duffel, when she slapped a yellow violation on our mailbox and said, "Commander or not, this is a civilian neighborhood, and I expect compliance." And the look Alex gave her, she didn't blink, didn't yell, just nodded. That calm, icy nod that says, "I've dealt with pirates tougher than you." I thought that would be it. A petty woman having a bad day. But oh no, Margaret had plans. Next morning, she shows up at 6:45. I'm not kidding, still dark out. She's got one of those contractor-grade laser measurers and some poor guy from the HOA board trailing behind her like a lost puppy. She says our mailbox extends 9 inches past the community easement. Another $75 fine. Then she smirks at Alex, my wife in her joggers, still sweating from her morning run, and says, "I'm sure someone who values discipline will take care of that quickly." It wasn't about the sign, or the mailbox, or even the driveway, which she fined us for 2 days later because our rear bumper hung over the sidewalk by, get this, 3 inches. This was about control, about power, about Margaret making sure everyone in this sleepy Florida cul-de-sac knew exactly who was in charge and who wasn't. She didn't like that Alex was respected. She didn't like that people in the neighborhood waved to her, thanked her. She especially didn't like the way Alex carried herself, calm, commanding, unapologetically Navy. And over the next 2 weeks, Margaret escalated from HOA citations to full-blown psychological warfare. She filed 5 complaints with the city, claimed our porch light was too bright, and violated dark sky laws. Said our recycling bins weren't uniform in placement. I kid you not, she measured our trash can angle. Then came the whisper campaign. We started getting weird looks from neighbors. People who used to say, "Hi now," avoided eye contact. One woman crossed the street when Alex walked the dog. Turns out, Margaret had been planting little seeds. "She seems off since deployment," she told one neighbor. "I'm just concerned about her adjustment," she told another. All said with that sweet old lady concern that makes you feel guilty for even questioning it. But Margaret knew what she was doing. She'd read the playbook. Heck, maybe she wrote it. She was trying to paint Alex as unstable, volatile, unfit for civilian life. One day, Alex came in from a run and just sat on the floor, staring at her medals like they were mocking her. Then she looked at me and whispered, "What if I don't belong here?" That hit me hard. Because here's the thing. My wife's not just brave or smart or capable. She's good. She leads with integrity. She's kept sailors from breaking down, kept families together over satellite calls. And now she was being broken down by a woman with a ruler and a grudge. That's when the tide turned. Her name was Lisa, the woman across the street who always kept her curtains shut. Turns out she'd been watching everything. And one night, She came to our door with a manila folder so thick it looked like a phone book. She was shaking like she was handing over nuclear codes. "Commander Reed," she said, voice barely above a whisper, "Margaret's been doing this for years. You're not the first." She wasn't wrong. That folder had photos, violation notices, police reports. 3 different families, all military, had left the neighborhood after run-ins with Margaret. There was a Marine major, a Coast Guard couple, and an Army reservist with PTSD whom Margaret harassed until he snapped. Every time, same pattern: small fines, escalating citations, whispers of instability, and then silence. Margaret didn't just dislike authority. She hated military authority. She once told Lisa, "Uniforms don't matter here. Out there, they get medals. Here, they follow my rules." That night, Alex didn't sleep. She sat at the table, sorting files like she was prepping for deployment. It was all coming back to her: the structure, the protocol, the mission mindset. And the next morning was something I wish I had filmed in IMAX. She walked over to Margaret's house, not in joggers, not in jeans, in full dress uniform. Navy blues, metal shining, hat tucked under one arm, and she knocked. Margaret opened the door and actually blinked. You could tell she wasn't expecting that much presence. Alex said, calm and clear, "I'm Commander Alexandra Reed, U.S. Navy. You will cease this harassment campaign immediately." Margaret didn't flinch. She actually smiled. That cold, cat-like smile that says, "You stepped into my trap." Then she whispered, "You know, Commander, I've read about reintegration issues, mood swings, paranoia. One concern call, and your command might start asking questions." And that's when I realized Margaret wasn't just a tyrant. She was strategic. She'd researched how to destroy someone's military career through suggestion alone. But she didn't know we'd been preparing. Alex turned to me, and I handed her the tablet. Every audio file, every recording, every neighbor statement, Lisa's folder, her own notes, dates, patterns, proof. And just as the local police pulled up for yet another disturbance report Margaret had filed, we handed it all over to Sergeant Daniels, who, by the grace of the universe, turned out to be an Army vet. He listened, he read, and he saw the truth. What happened next moved fast. The HOA called an emergency meeting. Margaret was voted out that night. Lisa was appointed interim president. Every fine Margaret ever issued was put under review. And an investigation into HOA finances? Let's just say Margaret had some explaining to do about those office supply charges for over $10,000. Margaret was eventually charged with harassment, fraud, and filing false reports. She took a plea deal: community service, restitution, banned from HOA leadership for life. And as for our neighborhood, it changed. You could feel it. Kids played outside again. Neighbors waved. Someone even baked us a pie, just because. We finally got the welcome home celebration Alex deserved. Flags, speeches, hugs from people who meant it. The kicker? A few weeks ago, a new family moved into Margaret's old house. The husband? Air Force major. The wife? Army nurse. Guess word got out that our neighborhood learned how to treat those who serve. And as we watched them unload their truck, Alex leaned over and said, "Some ranks, they don't mean much in places like this, but respect? That's earned every day." So yeah, Margaret had a clipboard. But Alex? She had 15 years of honor, discipline, and the kind of calm fury that clipboard tyrants will never understand. Now I gotta ask, have you ever dealt with a neighborhood bully in disguise? Someone who abused their little patch of power? Drop your stories in the comments. We're not alone. And maybe, just maybe, the more we speak up, the fewer Margarets there'll be.